I've travelled around 132 miles from my home in Northamptonshire to this beautiful Welsh cottage that dates from 1700, and I'm going to be spending a couple of full days filming the amazing wildlife around here. But for now, it's a glass of wine and an early night. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, it's a cold grey morning this morning. It's around 5 a.m. and we've come to this river location, which is about 3/4 of a mile from the cottage, in the hope of filming a pair of dippers which are feeding chicks here. As you can see, it's ideal dipper habitat, and if we're successful, it'll be my first dippers in many years, and indeed there we are, our first dipper. When the parent birds visits the chicks to feed them, and the nest is actually on the other side of that plinth. It isn't visible from this side of the river, unfortunately, but we'll try and cross the bridge later. There's other birds on view, like this pied wagtail, and the birds visit constantly every few minutes to feed their brood. One will fly down river and the other will fly upstream, and they bring food to the chicks constantly. And this bird leaves with a fecal sac to keep the nest nice and clean. Well, as I said, we can't see the nest entrance from this side of the river, so we're going to cross the bridge and try and get shots of the birds entering the nest hole. Well, here we are. This is the other side of the bridge, the other side of the river, and the nest entrance is actually a vertical slit, and there is the bird going in and very quickly leaves again. And once again another visit. Excellent. Well, we've moved a little bit further downstream to see what else is about. There's been some common sandpipers around, but very flighty. I haven't been able to get a shot of them. But we have a song thrush gathering nest material there. Also a male blackbird and a grey wagtail. And that's it. What an excellent morning. Thrilled to bits that I was able to film my first dippers in many years, and I'll leave you with a last look at those. Well, I'm staying in this amazing cottage in the wilds of mid-Wales, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a photographic tour. As mentioned before, the cottage dates from 1700 and is owned by a local Quaker group, and they meet here once a week on a Sunday in the Friends meeting house, which is part of the cottage, and the cottage is for hire at a very reasonable rate. The cottage is situated about a mile from the nearest road, and you park your car at the top of a very stony track, and then it's through a farm gate, left through a wicket gate. You walk up through this wonderful little wood which brings you out into the cottage garden. On entering the cottage, you walk into a living room stroke dining room. There's a small but functional kitchen, and then it's up these incredibly steep stairs to a single bedroom and a double bedroom. And for a refreshing change, there's no internet or TV, and as it's a Grade 1 listed building, there's a chemical toilet outside and a portable shower. And the views from the cottage are absolutely amazing. You look out of the window over the cottage garden and all the beautiful rural landscape beyond. And here's a short film montage of the cottage and its garden and surrounding landscape. Well, it's another very early start. It's 4:15, and yesterday afternoon we did a recce and found another dipper's nest under yet another bridge. So it's a coffee, and then we're heading out to do some filming, and the bats are whizzing around enjoying the last hour before sunrise. And we're going to head off back to the bridge. And here we are. This is a much busier bridge. There's a busy road above it, but it's very early. There's not much traffic about at the moment, so we're just settling down under this tree to hopefully film some more dippers and anything else that comes along. The far bank, there's a female blackbird, and her mate sits on the gate watching her catch worms. And a dipper has just flown in to the near shore there and immediately flies off again. But the other bird is working the far shore there, flies across to our side of the river, and looks like he's just about to go up to the nest to feed the chicks. And the other bird is very quickly back with some food, and the bonus is we can actually see the chicks in the nest. Oh, fantastic. And they're just about to get a feed. Just look at that, wonderful. Such a bonus to be able to see the nest. And if you look at the blue cable there as it curls up towards the top of the bridge, the nest is just to the left of the blue cable there. The bird is just on the shoreline there. It's into the water looking for caddisfly and other kinds of prey that the chicks will eat. And looking back at the chicks, you can see the white flashes of the eyes as they blink there. That's actually a signalling device, because you can imagine when the birds are next to fast flowing water, which would be quite loud, vocal calls wouldn't be any good. So we've developed this signalling strategy with the eyes. It looks like it's siesta time after a busy period feeding the chicks, having a bit of a preen, and the chicks eagerly wait for their next meal. And the other bird is also enjoying a bit of a rest and a preen, but I've just noticed that the other bird has flown off and has quickly returned with more food and another feed for the chicks. Absolutely wonderful to be able to see this, and feeding started again with earnest. And also a bonus, the bird I wasn't able to film yesterday, the common sandpiper pair have just flown in, and this is one of them just on the shoreline in among the pebbles there. So that's excellent to see that. And to end, the chicks get yet another feed. And what a fantastic morning it's been. That's the first for me. Dipper chicks, but we were up early, so it's now time to get back to the cottage for breakfast. Well, next to the cottage is this fine little wood. It really is beautiful habitat and is so full of life. As you come up through the wicket fence along the path, the wood is to your right, and to your left is the pastured land where sheep and cattle graze, and this wall, I think, is part of an old cemetery. I found this nest box, rather ornate nest box, which is home to a brood of blue tip. But what I'm more interested in is this tree, because it contains a spotted flycatcher nest. So later this afternoon I shall be venturing forth from the cottage once again to try and film the spotted flycatchers. Well, here we are back in the wood. It's later afternoon, beautiful light, and Sod's Law there is the flycatcher just on setting up the camera, trying to get the focus and exposure correct before it flies off, but then it flies off, and not too far though. So I've taken the camera off the tripod to try and be a little bit more flexible and trying to view the bird, because they can be a little bit flighty, but this bird is quite happy to let me film it, and it's literally just above my head really. Fantastic. They have a habit of flying off and coming back to the same perch, but this one didn't, but it didn't fly far. But what a fantastic little bird. Job done. Excellent. Well, it's evening time now. The sun is sinking ever lower, and there are bats flying around the cottage. I'm going to try and film them in a different way, because normally you see them as just silhouettes in the darkening sky. So tonight I'm going to put these LED lights on, these LEDs, and I'm going to try and film them at 100 frames per second, and a GoPro is going to be put in this frame working at 200 frames per second, and let's see what we can get. Oh, the bats are just starting to fly. and we're going to put the lights on, see what we can get. The majority of them are pipistrelle, according to the bat detector, but there are other species around as well, and there's plenty of potential food for them. So, as I say, the camera's going to be operating at 100 frames per second. It's going to be very grainy, but we did get some usable footage. So here's some music and a look at that. Well, unfortunately, today's the day I have to leave this wonderful place. I'm sure I'll come back again one day, but there's one more thing I have to do before I hit the road, and that's look at a trail cam that we put out last night by the old wall in the wood. So let's see what we got. It's a blackbird. I think it was still light. I hope that's not going to take all the peanuts. But oh yeah, that's a little wood mouse just peeping out of the wall there. Excellent. And that's a vole. And there's the wood mouse again. Very tentative, obviously very vulnerable little creatures, these. It keeps peering out, not taking any of the nuts. Oh, it's just about to take one now. Camera cut off, but I think it actually took one then. But as you can see, it keeps peeping out. Those huge ears, listening out for any predator. That's excellent. Never caught a wood mouse on a trail cam before. Yeah, just got a nut there, and it'll take it off to store, which it has somewhere in that wall. And I'm sure that wall is home to many little creatures that come out at night. It really is excellent. Time for home.